when you have to make a big decision quickly. I recently heard a message that had the word resolved in it. And then I thought, where did I hear that before? Okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Resolved is not a word that is used too often. I looked up the definition as this is what I found. Resolved, firmly determined to do something. That's a little different than the word decided. You may decide to watch a certain TV show or movie, but you wouldn't say you resolved to watch a certain TV show or movie. So when was the last time you had to make a quick decision in a big situation? Did you jump to a quick answer, or did you firmly determine to do something? It might have been whether to make a major purchase, or you had little time to think about it. Or it might have been a little more serious situation. I am led to two situations in the Bible where a person had to do this quickly. In 2 Chronicles chapter 20, Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, was told that a large army made up of 3 kingdoms was at his doorstep. It was a surprise because of the direction from which they came. He had to make a big decision very quickly. Chapter 20 reads like this. After this, the Moabites and Ammonites and some of the Meunites came to make war on Jehoshaphat. Some men came and told Jehoshaphat, "A vast army is coming against you from Edom, from the other side of the sea." The message puts it this way: a huge force on its way from beyond the Dead Sea to fight you. There's no time to waste. Alarmed, Jehoshaphat resolved to inquire of the Lord. Alarmed was one way to say it. The message said, shaken. Jehoshaphat prayed. I'll bet he did. Obviously, they had their backs up against the wall, looking at possible disaster. A quick wrong decision would not have been good at all. Well, you'll have to read the rest of chapter 20 to see how the story ends. Now let's take a look at another person in the Bible who was caught in a difficult situation and had to make a big decision. In the book of Daniel, chapter 1, Daniel and his 3 friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, you may know them better by their new names, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were taken captive at the fall of Jerusalem and brought to the capital, Babylon. There they were actually treated quite well, because they were to be schooled in everything in the culture of the Babylonian Empire. You see, they were the cream of the crop of the youth of Jerusalem. They were given new names, clothes, haircuts, and schooling. But Daniel drew the line at the food. Let's pick it up at verse 3. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, chief of the court officials, to bring in some of the Israelites from the royal family and nobility. Young men without physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and literature of the Babylonians. The king assigned them a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for 3 years, and after that, they were to enter the king's service. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. Daniel was very young at this time. Some place him as a teenager, maybe between 14 and 16 years old. Quite a big request for such a young boy, especially when he was refusing the food from the king's table. The king could very easily have put Daniel and his friends in prison and thrown away the keys, because if the king offers something, you don't refuse it. You become very thankful and do what you are told. Again, you will have to read the rest of chapter 1 to see how Daniel and his friends made out. So by reading the rest of both stories, we know how each turned out. But neither Jehoshaphat nor Daniel knew how it would end. But they first firmly decided. So what are we to take from these 2 stories? We probably aren't going to have to make a quick decision regarding invading forces or what food we will eat under penalty of death. But I am sure we will come into a situation that needs the correct decision. I have a video that looks at decision making and making good choices. Maybe you want to watch it later. But if you don't have time to think it over for at least a day or more, maybe it would be a good idea to firmly determine to do something. And that something should be to go to God and listen for His answer.